Welcome to the Boss Gambling Show on the internet. This is the home of the money pick. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Week 11 Vegas spread picks coming up. Last week was phenomenal. I made it simple on YouTube. 3-0 on the money picks. And for those of you on Patreon, I made it even more simple. 2 bets. Put all your resources on the Niners. Throw them on the Steelers. And that's what we did. The myth of the college fund bet is still alive. Let's get this money. Week 11 is complicated, but I think we can maneuver through it and get this money. Let's get to Thursday night football. First game, we got the Cincinnati Bengals at the Baltimore Ravens. Bengals are plus 3.5. I got the Bengals to cover, Ravens to win. Firstly, division matchup. Both of these teams are physical, and both of these teams want to win. But I am really concerned about this Sam Hubbard injury and the Trey Hendrickson injury for the Bengals. We know when you play against Lamar Jackson, you need your defensive ends to play effective and also play discipline. We've seen the Bengals bounce back in situations like this before, a la whole offensive line was injured against the Bills in the playoff game last year. We know this Ravens team's going to come to fight, and I just think the Ravens are able to make 1 or 2 more plays. They win late with a Justin Tucker field goal, and I'm worried about T. Higgins' injury. And when you don't have that second target, I know everyone loves Tyler Boyd, and we know how good Jamar Chase is, but I just felt like Burrow was missing something against the Texans, and we know this Ravens defense can play. The key to this game for the Bengals, they need to be able to run the ball. That's why the Browns whip their butt, and I'm not sure the Bengals can do it. I think they keep it close. I think their defense comes up with a few big turnovers. Ravens win the game. Bengals cover. Next game, we got the Los Angeles Chargers at the Green Bay Packers. Chargers -3. Money, money, money. Money. The hand going back in the cookie jar again. We've been doing this since week 1. Yeah, our hand got caught week 1 when we picked the Bears, but every single week we faded the Packers. It's been effective, and I'm not changing my mind. I haven't seen anything that will make me say, oh, this Packers team is evolving. This Packers team is getting better. I just don't think they are. Now, make sure you check the weather report in Lambeau. It is getting deep into the winter, and we know the Chargers aren't a team that travels well. But I just think when you look at this game, Packers defense has been disappointing the whole year. They're not aggressive enough. They can't stop the run. And we saw what the Steelers did to them. The Steelers they made it simple, man. They just said, we're going to get in a 12 formation, and we're going to pound you and run it down your throat. What are you going to do about it? And the Packers had very little to do about it. And I also feel like this is an Alamo game for the Chargers. Season's on the line. Brandon Staley's job is on the line. And we finally got to see a Herbert masterclass this year. I felt like he was disappointing this whole year. We finally saw him have that masterclass against the Lions. I think it continues. Chargers winning the cover, making a money pick, hand in the cookie jar once again. Next game, we got the New York Giants at the Washington No Names. Giants +10. Giants to cover, Commanders to win. I mean, this really is a microcosm for this week. We have a lot of big spreads, and there's a guy who I knew, and he's a longtime friend of the program, Marty. Pretty much, he made his money, and he made his living just betting big spreads, the team with the +10 to cover. I'm not a big fan of doing that, but I do think the Giants cover this game. And you look at the Commanders, man. Last week against the Seahawks was extremely disappointing. They had no business losing that game, and they probably should have won that game by 10 points. It's just, when are we going to see the Giants respond? When are we going to see Brian Daboll respond? I know Tommy DeVito is trash, but 10 points is an awful lot in this league, especially when the Commanders are -10. I got to go Giants cover, Commanders win. Just please don't bet this. Next game, AFC North. We got the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Cleveland Browns. Steelers +4. I got the Steelers to cover, Browns to win. And listen, in a perfect world, I would be picking Browns to win and to cover this game, and I probably would bet it. But we know this Browns team has been inconsistent, and Deshaun Watson finally has a good game. Oh, on the injury report, getting an MRI today on the ankle. So that's where we're at with the Browns, and we got to give this Steelers team a lot of credit. A lot of people thought we were crazy betting them against the Packers last week, but I know what I'm going to get from the Steelers. I'm going to get a low-energy offensive performance, but I do like how they're running the football. And against the Browns, that's what you need to do. You need to run it at them. You're not going to have too much success, but we know this is going to be an absolute ugly game. And you look at Pickett versus Deshaun Watson. Like, I think Deshaun Watson will make more plays in the end. But at the end of the day, I just feel like 4 is too much in this game. Steelers cover, Browns win. And also, one thing you need to do against the Steelers secondary is you got to throw it deep and you got to spread them out. That's something we just haven't seen enough out of the Browns. Steelers cover, Browns win. Next game, we got the Arizona Cardinals. Pew, pew, pew. At the Houston Texans. Texans -4. Money, money, money! Money! Texans to win in the cover. I understand this 4 is troublesome. And I understand you got the Texans coming off a Rocky Mountain high after beating the Bengals, and then they come back down to reality and you see the Cardinals in front of them. And I understand Kyler Murray was effective against the Falcons. He made the big plays that made the difference in the game, but the Cardinals beat the Falcons because the Falcons had 80 or 85 passing yards. When C.J. Stroud walks on the field, that's just not going to fucking happen. And we just saw 2 master classes in a row. Do I think he's going to throw for like 404 touchdowns again? No, but I think he's going to tear up a Cardinals secondary that's absolutely struggling. I'm not sure the Cardinals are able to get the pass rush without blitzing. And if you blitz Stroud, I think he's got the weapons to hurt you. His symbiosis with Tank Dell is at a high level right now. So I think the Texans make the big plays. Also, Kyler Murray will make plays. We know that. And that Cardinals receiving core is actually pretty good. And I don't want to put down John Gannon. I feel like he's done a good job this year besides the pew-pew. But when you look at this game, I'm looking at, is this Cardinals offensive line going to be able to pass block against the Texans front that seems to be evolving week by week? I don't think so. Texans winning the cover, making a damn money pick. Looking forward to watching this game. Next game, we got the Chicago Bears, the Bears at the Detroit Lions. Bears +10. Lions to win in the cover. If I hear a hit of Tyson Bagent starting this game, Lions are going to just do him, man. And that's what the Lions have been doing for us the last 2.5 years. Winning games, covering spreads, and doing it with a smile on their face. Now, you look at this Bears team, I do feel like the defense has gotten better. Once the secondary got healthy, you add Montez Sweat to the mix. I understand, but I'm not getting excited about them beating up and bullying Bryce Young. I'm just not going to go there. Like, you can go there, but I'm not going to go there. And you look at the Lions, I just feel like without Justin Fields on the other side, who can make big plays? And one thing the Lions can do, man, they're going to make big plays. They're going to throw the ball down the field. They're going to play with energy and verb. I just don't know if the Bears can match him, and it doesn't look like Fields will play. I don't know what they're doing. Maybe it's a tank because they know Fields gives them a better chance to win the game. I'm going Lions winning the cover. You know, I understand 10 is a lot, divisional matchup. Bears normally play the Lions tough, but I can't go there without Fields. Next game, we got the Las Vegas Raiders. Pierce at the Miami Dolphins. Raiders +11.5. Listen, please don't bet this, but Dolphins to win in the cover. I told you the new coach bounce was coming. Even I was surprised by how much it worked against the New York Jets. Like, credit to Pierce, credit to that locker room for getting galvanized, and I think they're tied with the Bills in the AFC playoff race, as crazy as that sounds. But we've been picking the Dolphins every single time. Like when the Dolphins are -9, -11, -12 at home, -6.5 at home, we bet them. And this is where the Dolphins eat. You get below average opposition, you get a below average quarterback, and that's where the Dolphins are going to run and spin on you, so to speak. And I'm looking at this Raiders team. Now, one matchup that is interesting is this Raiders offensive line without Colton Miller going up against the Miami front that can be pushed around, and Vic Fangio will only leave 7-6 guys in the box on plays. Even though I think the Raiders run it good, I just don't think that's consistent enough in the Miami Heat with the Miami big plays, with Tyreek the Thrill Hill going deep. Fins winning the cover. 11.5 is too much for you to bet. Listen, we've had the Fins on money picks on 9.5, 10.5, 7.5 this year. I just feel like this one is too much out of respect for Antonio Pierce and that locker room. Next game, Sunday Night Football. We got my Minnesota Vikings at the Denver Broncos. Vikings plus 2.5. Money, money, money. Money. Vikings winning the cover, making a damn money pick. And I'm sure you guys all watched that Bills-Broncos travesty that they labeled Monday Night Football last night, right? Did you guys see anything that makes you think, okay, the Broncos are evolving, this team is getting better, Russell Wilson is getting more comfortable? I didn't. They barely were able to win a game when the Bills turned the ball over 4 or 5 times. And when you look at the Vikings, I know the media is going crazy about Josh Dobbs, like the astronaut stuff. He's made some big plays. We get it. This isn't about Josh Dobbs. I mean, this is about Brian Flores versus Sean Payton. And one guy in this league that just hasn't been getting enough credit is Brian Flores. He's completely transformed this defense that is below average on talent. Like, listen, I'm a Vikings fan, but I know the talent just isn't there to be a top 15 defense. But this team is playing like a top 10 defense, and I think they get the Russell Wilson. I think they're able to stop the run, and I think they're able to force turnovers against the Broncos team that does play scared. On the other side, Broncos defense is one area of the Broncos that is evolving. Like, they've been playing better, but this game is going to be ugly. You saw that Broncos-Bills game last night. It was ugly. But I think the Vikings can win an ugly game. Justin Jefferson possibly coming back. Vikings winning the cover, making a money pick. I also think the Vikings have more playmakers. Like, you had Harrison Smith, you had Addison. I just feel like they got more dogs than the Broncos. Next game, we got the Tennessee Titans at the Jacksonville Jags. Titans plus 6.5. Titans to cover, Jags to win. Listen, I watched that Titans Bucs film at like 3 in the morning last night. And I don't think the Titans played as bad as the scoreline suggests. I think they cover this game against the Jags. I do wonder about this Jags team. I know the 49ers were a college fund bet last week for us, but even I was surprised about what little resistance the Jags gave them. And I think the Titans are going to be able to run the ball, and that's why I think the Titans can possibly win this game. Like, listen, the Titans aren't going to be able to run it on Vita Vea and the Bucs, but I do think you can push around the Jags, and I think that gives Will Levis some play action opportunities. Westbrook-Akina dropped 2 deep passes from Will Levis last week, so I think the Titans can make plays, and I think the Titans can possibly win this game. And also, I know the Titans don't have like the 9 technique, the edge rusher, but the Titans have a really good push in the interior with Simmons, Autry, Tar. I really think they can affect this Jags offensive line that just didn't show up against the 49ers. I do think Lawrence is the difference. I think Lawrence gets a late field goal. I think Lawrence manufactures things, but I got the Titans to cover, Jags to win. Listen, man, if I knew the psychology of this Titans team better, it would be a money pick. I just don't know how much they're fighting. Next game, we got the Dallas Cowboys, them boys, at the Carolina Panthers. Panthers plus 10.5. I got Panthers 10.5. Panthers cover, Cowboys win. Listen, Panthers at home, longer rest. Are the Cowboys going to rip every single bad team by 30 points? I'm going Panthers to cover, Cowboys to win, but I got to tell you, man, I was right about Stroud over Bryce Young, and I need to take a little bit of a victory lap around that. Bryce Young is a liability, man. And you saw when Andy Dalton had one game for the Panthers, and then you saw Bryce Young's game. I mean, it's just not comparable. But maybe Bryce Young is able to play better. Panthers cover, Cowboys win. I'll let you guys bet this game. Like I even said, man, I don't want anything of that Cowboys-Giants last week. I'm happy some of you guys bet the Cowboys. No credit to you guys. Next game, we got the Tampa Bay Bucs at the San Francisco 49ers. Bucs plus 11. I got the Bucs to cover, 49ers to win. And listen, Brock Purdy might go off this game. This Buccaneers team is struggling in the secondary. Jamal Dean's not covering anyone. They seem to be getting banged up in the secondary. Listen, so if you think Brock Purdy's going to go off for like 350 like he did against the Jags, that's fine. But I don't think the 49ers are going to be able to push around this Bucs front. And that's why I think it turns into a closer game. And I've never really liked the 49ers in spots like these, like when they're minus 6.5 against the Chargers. I've never liked them. I like when the 49ers are minus 3 and that'll get your money. At minus 11, it just isn't too tasteful for me. Bucs to cover, 49ers to win, not a hell of a lot of science. Next game, we got the Seattle Seahawks at the Los Angeles Rams. Hawks -1. Hawks winning the cover, Seahawks. Listen, it's tough to do this with how bad Geno Smith is playing. I mean, the Seahawks really had no business beating the Commanders on Sunday. Credit to the home field advantage. I think maybe that pushed them over the edge. But I'm looking at Geno Smith, and I'm just scratching my head, and I understand the worry in this game. You get Stafford coming back, and it does seem like the Rams team needed a bye week to get healthy. McVay seems more motivated than ever, but I just think this Hawks defense is the difference in this game, and we don't know if this Rams offense is going to bring their A game. We don't know if this Rams defense is going to bring their A game, and we certainly don't know if Geno Smith's going to play competent football. But one thing I know is I know the Seahawks defense is going to play physical, they're going to play fast, and they're going to make plays. Hawks winning the cover with the -1. I do feel like Vegas is overvaluing the Rams. Like, listen, I got tempted by this game, but you just look at the Seahawks defense. It's the best unit in the game. You got to go with that. Next game, we got the New York Jets at the Buffalo Bills. Jets +7. Jets cover, Bills win. I don't know. I'll come on here and say I just don't fucking know. And at this point, after having to watch that Bills game last night, I don't care. Like, I was right about the Bills. I told you guys, week 1, before the season, I said they're done, man. I said they're not making the playoffs. We'll see if the Bills respond. I mean, there's just not a lot of evidence, but Zach Wilson is so damn bad, it makes betting this game damn near impossible. I think the play is Jets to cover, Bills to win, but, you know, we don't know what we're going to see out of this terrible Jets offense either. Next game, Monday Night Football, Super Bowl rematch. We're going to Kansas City. We got the Philadelphia Eagles at the Kansas City Chiefs. Eagles +3. Eagles winning the cover. I got the Eagles to win in the cover. And I have to think about this game more before I make it a money pick, but I'm feeling pretty good about the Eagles. Now, when you look at this Chiefs defense, I think one of the keys has been Nick Bolton at linebacker. He's been phenomenal in coverage, phenomenal on the blitz. It looks like he's going to be out of this game, and I'm going to go with the team I think is more old school, the team I think is more nasty, and that is the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles really needed that bye week. We know our boy Hurts' ankle is absolutely roughed up and diminished, and the Eagles made some really good moves in the secondary during the trade deadline, like you bring in Bayard. I think that's made a ton of difference. And we know when you got Pat Mahomes, you're always up against the 8 ball. And I'm not talking about officiating, but we know he does seem to get those little calls a la Jets game, if you guys remember that earlier in the year. But you always are up against the 8 ball when you got Pat Mahomes. But the best way to attack Pat Mahomes is to have a lethal pass rush, and we know that's what the Eagles have. I think Jalen Carter is the difference in this game. And you do worry about the Eagles' pass offense. At times, it's been out of rhythm. It hasn't looked good, but I feel like they've evolved the last 3 weeks. We see A.J. Brown getting more involved in game plans every week, and I think the Eagles have more playmakers, and I know everyone loves, Travis Kelce and all that. I think the Eagles have more playmakers. I think the Eagles have more dogs, and I know when you go up against Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes, it's difficult, especially on the road, but we got to go with the team we think is the better football team. I'm going Eagles winning the cover, actually making a damn money pick. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. The best gambling show on the internet. Slam that like button.